So this is a little tribute to Wendy Palmer, Sensei. I'm going to use Aikido terminology. Wendy Palmer, great leadership embodiment teacher, great teacher generally, who sadly passed away fairly recently. I left this a little bit of time so people would hear the news. If you are hearing the news for the first time, then my condolences. Wendy Palmer, bit of a legend. So there's a bit of an homage. I just want to say some nice things about Wendy and, point some people to her work and those who survive her with her work. So Wendy Palmer, where to begin? I'm not her official biographer or anything like that. I believe she was living out of a van at one point and in California, part of the hippie movement in the 60s. And she started a Aikido school with Richard Strozzi Heckler and George Leonard. So for those who don't know, Richard Strozzi Heckler is one of the founders of sort of Embodied Leadership. He was a young Aikido, not even black belt, I think, at the time, but up-and-coming Aikido teacher. George Leonard, wonderful writer, big name in the sort of human potential movement, wrote a lot of stuff on games, did stuff with Michael Murphy out of Esalen. So these three were sort of destined for greatness, is how I look at it. They started this super dojo. Was it Mount Tamalpais? Some of the details may be wrong, so I said not official biographer, but I want to give you some background about Wendy. Maybe people can correct in the comments if it's not right. Anyway, it's a bit of a super dojo. This was before I met any of them, and started doing some special things. Starting writing books, started looking at Aikido off the mat. Richard and Wendy were married, so that was a partnership there for a while, and not just in the dojo but outside it, and just doing very cool stuff. And this was always an inspiration for me, doing Aikido in a very more mundane way without the kind of psychological, spiritual elements out in England years and years ago, kind of looking across the pond and going, wow, I'd love to be at that dojo. Yeah. By the time I went out there, actually, the dojo still existed. And I think it was mostly Wendy and George by the time I was out there who were running it. Wendy, though, increasingly started to take some of these Aikido principles combined with the mindfulness and, strong meditation background to corporate work, leadership embodiment work, and really developed very cool body work. And I've done a fair bit of training with her over the years, probably amounting to, 20, 25 days training, something like that, spread over different times. I'm not one of her top students. She is survived by a few. Tiphani Palmer, her daughter, who was definitely, one of the top people training in her work. Also Anouk Brak in the Netherlands, Pierre in Paris. These are some people who in Europe who are taking her work forward much more competently than I can. So yeah, look those people up if you want to kind of follow what she was doing. But certainly good work looking at how we do leadership, followership, just some really creative, cool exercises, Someone that inspired me a lot as an embodiment teacher is it's almost nothing I do that's exactly like Wendy did, but in terms of principles of centering, stuff around leader follower, all making declarations, doing stuff in the world, connecting the body to the work we do as leaders in the world. And I know, in her late years, she works a lot with different American companies, car companies, a lot of tech companies. She was a guest in things like Wisdom 2.0. And yeah, for me, Wendy was also just very good to me personally. I wasn't always the best student or wasn't the closest with her compared to some people, but she made time for me, met for coffee, were in her house once, hang out a couple of times in London, got to know her a little bit. And I just found her consistently generous, consistently wise, elegant. Her saying was noble, shiny, awesome. Something I believe from Satome Sensei, one of our Aikido teachers. And, she did have that nobility, that shyness, that awesomeness. And, just very clear teacher, very powerful, kind of strongly, femininely elegant. And I think many of my generation of embodiment teachers were strongly influenced by her, through her books, through a little bit of video, through her courses. I know she taught in Singapore and India, all over the world. So it's a big loss to the whole embodiment world that she's passed away after what I understand was a pretty brief illness, one that just came out of the blue. Probably better not give all the details, but as far as I can tell, it was pretty quick. And, her last communications with me were, as ever, kind, pleasant, She was going to speak at an event we were doing in the near future, so I happened to be in touch. And she just a big loss. So I wanted to say some nice things about Wendy Palmer and suggest, you look her up, look her work up. Really a giant in this field of embodiment, particularly around leadership. So much missed. Rest in peace, Wendy Palmer, Sensei. Walsh here. If you like that, you'll probably like embodimentunlimited.com and our app. So on both of these things, you can get a bunch of podcasts that aren't available here, some exclusive ones with some big names, some people you'll probably recognize that are over there. There's a copy of my book, PDF, my first book on embodiment, which seems to people like. Sold quite a few copies on Amazon, but there's a free copy there. What else is there? Loads of videos of me coaching embodiment, resources on trauma, on meditation, on yoga. And you can also chat to people without going on Facebook or any of that nonsense. So if you want to chat embodiment with people, that's there. And it's on the embodimentunlimited.com, all free, and the app available at the App Store and all that good stuff. So if you like this, do check those out.